the judge, what do we, what should we do next to try and get this quorum reduced?
Is that an invitation to speak?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Let me just say this. It'd be inappropriate for me to give you legal advice, but let me just say some general observations.
Yes.
Okay.
There's nothing legally preventing the board from filing its own petition to lower the quorum. My clients had filed a petition to lower the quorum based on allegations of decades of entrenched corruption. I suspect a petition filed by you folks would be different. It would be based on just an inability to get work done. That petition, there's no reason you folks can't file that. That's one. Number two, there's no legal reason that you can't investigate, now that you have new counsel, reading the bylaws carefully for non-judicial ways to reform the bylaws. I know Mike Gatto has studied this issue, and I would encourage you to further study that issue.
Thank you, Jeff.
I have one question, Jeff, and this may be, it's not, I don't think you would call it legal advice, but if we do file, what's the likelihood that it goes to the same judge?
I'm going to give you a lawyer answer. It depends. It depends on when it's filed and what the allegations are. If you just copied and pasted my old filing, it's 99% chance it's going to be grabbed by this judge. But if it were filed by the petition and Robe and Reed were not a party and the facts were different, and maybe it was based on COVID and the new reality we live in terms of COVID, there's a chance it could go to a different judge.
Okay.
One thought I had is if we had owners in support of such a petition, which we failed to have in the last round, right? We only asked for objections. So people who were in support were not heard from. So if supporters would be helpful, I would certainly volunteer to get involved in trying to gather support for that, because I think there is a lot of support, but folks were not invited to express it in this last round.
Yeah, I have an opinion that I know Jeff can't express an opinion, but I've been in many of meetings with Judge Kwan, and my read is that she is a judge that excels at being the worst judge in LA County. If you don't know that, go to the roving room, and she's rated a 2 on a scale of 10, and nobody's lower than her. And if you read the comments, some of the frustrations we've all had have been there. But I think my observation is she's also somebody who just doesn't want to take action. She doesn't want to go one way or the other on any kind of issue. And the fact that she made a finding on this without prejudice, could mean that she feels that she's gotten out without doing anything and doesn't need to pick it up again. And so she can let somebody else pick it up. So I think she's inherently a lazy person that wants to get this off her docket and doesn't want something else added into her docket. So I give the possibility, certainly, that she would not jump in and want to have this if it were pursued the way Jeff had said, was a new petition, talk about the circumstances of the board needs this in order to get their job done, wrap around COVID or whatever else, but just a new petition, there's no opposition. She was just the deer in the headlights because it was not presented by the board, it was presented by members, and she just did not want to deal with that. But I think she would have viewed it differently, and I think another judge might end up getting it. So I wouldn't give it an infinitesimal. I give it a reasonable chance that she would not say, I want to pick this up again.
I'll say, though, I think it's a mistake to say there'll be no opposition. I mean, there were 30 people that took the time to write the letter, and some of them may feel pretty strong that the quorum should not be lowered.
Well, to speak for myself, I'm certainly not going to oppose it. And Reed, I think, would say the same.
What other question I would have is, what could we refile at 25%? Or file, I mean, why would we stick to 35? So anyway, we need to iron that out with our counsel, I guess, to decide what to do.
Marlene, I need to cut. I need to leave
Yeah.
this meeting. Thank you for everyone's time, but I have something else to do, so I'm gonna have to duck out.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. Yeah, we're running over anyway. Appreciate your participation. Thank you. Okay, actually, we're past the end of the meeting anyway, correct?
Yep.
So